Reality is interestingly strange. Yes, I said this to myself 100 times, but if you stop to think about it, it becomes clear there's just this thin invisible wall that blocks me from knowing the truth of its meaning. And I knew that I was so close to finding this feeling, but I knew that I was further than I vowed to know. And for the longest I can remember, that's just the way it was. Well, that's until I found this place. But I was just visiting her house until I found this strange slit in the floor before I could even expect it. I know what. I tried throwing this book at the ceiling to see if it could go through, but only to see it fall back down. I tried using my arms, but they were in maintenance mode at the time. Convenient. Stupid nut. No. I shouldn't call it that. Out of options, I tried to find something to climb on, but I found nothing. When I came back via book on the floor, I tried throwing the book back up, but I realized that I was stuck in this yellow plaster rooms with this strange feeling of calmness and a feeling that I can't comprehend, like I've been here before. After all, I've heard rumors about this in my lifetime, and this place goes on farther than I can even walk, but I can't. Whatever. It's not like the world wants me anymore. I'm just glad she isn't here to witness my well-being. God bless her soul. This is a sentence that I was going to put in my very own backrooms map, but I ended up not adding it as I considered it to be too deep to put in a Lego game that mostly consists of 13-year-olds. But that's just one of many RNGs that makes up the Bleakwick's backrooms community. And the community has been getting so large over the year now, I'm now making a video on it. Yes, you heard me, we're going to be talking about the backrooms community today. And if you love getting stuck in the backrooms, well, today is your lucky day. So we're going to be talking about the workshop builds, the creators, the videos, and the community behind it, and what I call entities in the game. And talk about what even the heck is the backrooms, and a lot more. But I know you guys want to see the video after that monologue I just did, so let's get lost in the backrooms. Before we get into the entire Bleakwick community, we need to talk about the backrooms and its lore first. So all started from a 4chan post on May 12th of 2019, posted by a user believed to be named Black August, as she found a photo on a furniture store in Osakos, Wisconsin that was being renovated in 2002. Besides that, the user decided to turn it into a creepypasta, describing it as a hellish dimension of yellow wallpaper and buzzing lights that go on forever. After a while, users decided to play around with the concept until they came up with a place of endless hallways that go on for 600 million square miles, of levels of all kinds, infected with human-like monsters called bacteria and still lives. And for a while, backrooms fans played around with the idea, making up levels in RNG videos on it around late 2020 to 2021. Even though the community wasn't large enough to be widespread across the internet, from what I can remember at the time. But everything changed when a content creator named Kane Pixels posted an RNG video on the backrooms on January 7th of 2020. And you may think he's just another RNG creator. And for a short while that was the case until I created another RNG video called The Third Test. And in the video there's a voice over in the video from a man named Ivan Beck, the creator of Async, and as part of the US government in an effort to save money on storage and automotive transportation.
Ivan Beck Price, director of the Async Foundation, described the intention of these tests, stating this program is granted sufficient backing from the United States government will offer a solution to all current and future storage and residential needs and save billions of dollars on property construction and management.
And when the community saw this, it spawned into a massive fandom of theorists and fans talking about it, as there is massive world created about it by now. And in the year 2022, it seemed like the only thing that the internet was talking about, besides Among Us.
Among Us! Among Us!
with Kane Pixels posting more videos almost every week, the fandom only grew larger, to the point where it became mainstream on the internet, and it got getting so popular that we got a whole movement on it after Kane Pixels struck a deal with A24 Studios a couple months back. I've seen the RNG videos myself, and I have to say that this is a way of having its own time even for 2022, and it's definitely something that I'm going to come back and watch. Okay, so now you know about the backrooms and its lore, and I know most of you are Backrooms players, so I want to get to know about the backrooms. So let's move on to the backrooms maps of Backrooms. Ah yes, the maps. Possibly the most important part of the community. And if in some way it wasn't there, the entire fandom just wouldn't exist. And it's only a thing now because someone posted a creepypasta on the internet somewhere. But what if I told you that this was the same way for Backrooms for a while? Even though it was known at the time, no one really wanted to make a map, since it was 2020 and Backrooms was still very limited in building space, and didn't fit the demand in the size what is the backrooms, even though foldables existed as an option. So several months passed by and no one really cared to make it, but that's until a player named truckhual273 finally posted the backrooms for the first time ever in Backrooms history on September 25th of 2020, just only 8 months after Kane Pixels posted his own RNG video. And the map looks bare, or should I say minimal, because the only thing you see is the standard truckhual pattern as a reference to this screenshot here. And the floor is made out of oak, not foam, as it's supposed to be a carpet in the real backrooms. This also applies with the walls, but I don't mind that. But the roof is made out of aluminum. Even though the textures look off, it does look decent. And fun fact about this player, he never seems to play modern day Backrooms, but rather to play Legacy, and he still makes workshop items to this day, as his latest car was made only a month ago. And I can agree that Legacy Backrooms is a lot more better than the one we have today, since it lives up more to its name. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that we're going to be talking about 2 more map quills in this video, and one of them you may know. But without further ado, let's move on. Since truckhual's backrooms map got popular within Backrooms, it was only a matter of time when other players started making their own maps. And there was some that got backrooms further in the game. Now I won't be getting to talk about most of these quills that fit the backrooms community, since I want to make these videos short, so that way I can have more time to make more content on this channel. But I'll list all the players here as an honorable mention. But one of these players is a player that I actually may know, even if not a part of the community. His name is GSirius. And he made the most realistic backrooms level by far, and in the process he became a big pillar of the community. And the map is actually built off the more accurate layout of Kane Pixels RNG videos. As for the plus pattern section in the gray area, even as far as the KV31 and a part of async. So this is not based off the backrooms, but rather than a replicant of the lore itself. But now let's take a look at the map. First off, the KV31 is highly detailed even for a high-brick map. And I did notice a small Easter egg that was on the wall hidden in plain sight, telling you what not to say outside of async.
For the sake of convenience, you may hear your peers refer to the project under any of the following titles: The Machine, The Door, The Back Rooms, The Complex, Hallways. Unauthorized usage of these terms outside of the async research facility is strictly prohibited.
But while I was exploring the building before I went into level 0, I noticed a crack in the wall that was made by mistake by the creator. Now, anytime I play one of a workshop build, every once in a while, I see small mishaps like this. After all, it's a part of Backrooms, or you can call it an out-of-control news zone. Now let's get into the main part. Okay, so there's a huge difference with the first map that we reviewed earlier. The carpet is actually the white material in color, same with the walls and lights. Anyway, let's explore the map. Now if you walk around for a bit, you see the pits, as seen in one of Kane Pixels' videos called Static Dead End. And nearby is the grey rooms. Not much happening here, but I did find something that bothered me. So the floor is made out of steel, and I don't know about you, but in the video it seems like the floor is made out of concrete, which it can be replicated easily by using pine or foam, or using other materials. But other than that, it looks the best it's gonna get. But there are some real dead-end areas that lead off into the void. But this is actually normal, as this is a project that's been work in progress, but other than the small hiccups here and there, I'll say that this is a great map we got here. And it's probably going to be something that is going to be used for a very long time. But since we're done with that, and found as much as I can talk about with this map, let's move on to the last one. And the player that made this may actually shock you. So I have covered 2 maps so far, and this is the last one I'm going to be talking about before we move on to the entities in the videos. So the latest backrooms map that we're going to be talking about was made by the same player that changed the entire community, and makes videos just like these. It's none other than me. I'm not kidding. But you might already saw this coming, as I literally said this at the beginning of the video, without me even realizing while I was writing the script. But however, I actually been wanting to make these for a while after I heard about the Backrooms movie, and I wanted to make this as a celebration to this massive feat in indie animation, and the Backrooms community itself. So I took this opportunity very seriously. And you may be asking yourself, why am I talking about my own level then rather than move on to a different topic? Well, this is for a variety of reasons. First off, the workshop item got super popular, conquering around 3,000 subscribers by the time I'm making this script. About 13,000 less than GSirius is. And there are some funny comments that say this: very fun. Would be chased by monsters and run up levels again. The strange little spell, the AM speech, LOL, which I'll get into in a minute. And there's a comment saying this: it's so great. That's why it's Case of the Great. Sounds like a slogan, and if there was a hot future in Steam, I'd probably use it right now. And second off, it was the biggest backrooms map on the workshop currently, covering about 1/4 of World Edit, which I'm pretty proud of since it took 2 weeks to make. But anyway, let's just get inside of it. Or no, clip into it in this case. First we have an area which I call the hallways. If you walk to the nearest entrance, you'll be right next to the debug area, which I mostly intend to use for the map. If you walk past the debug area, you find yourself at the AM speech. Obviously a reference to Harlan Ellison's book called I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream, also a trilogy of recurring reference to Goosebumps Works' show called The Amazing Digital Circus.
Seems our regime has plummeted south. Don't need to scream if you ain't got a mouth.
Anyhow, if you go through it, there's a lot of areas to highlight, but I'm only going to get to the ones that are important, and I think look cool. First is the red zone, where the entities are most prone to be at, as far as the law says. There's also another area that I like to call the blue zone. This is what I made up on my own. Even though it looks like entities would live here, it's actually a peaceful area. Also inside of it is the rafters, where there's on them for you to painfully climb. But not far from it is the blank space, and if you follow it to the end you find a bridge, which is one of my favorite parts of the map besides the rafters, as I like that sense of just a bottomless pit going to absolutely middle of nowhere. There are other parts of the map that I like to talk about, but I will let you see for yourself. Same with the other map that I've made, along with the other videos, which would probably add another 10 minutes to this video if I ended up talking about it. So I'll let you do that. But since we seem to be done with this chapter, we should move on since this video is getting long already. And I have to warn you that this chapter is a little bit disappointing. So I've seen the best of the community so far, and there's still a lot more to talk about. And one of these is the entities, which is something that is actually not particularly talked about, and you're about to see why. And you must be thinking the most well done and decent built entities, like some type of G-score type of stuff. But what if I told you that even isn't close, but rather than this? So yeah, it isn't the greatest. I mean, you have to respect the build here, but honestly, as decent as it looks, it's not really going to live to the mainstream workshop standards. I have played on Backrooms RPs before, and what I've learned so far is the Backrooms community has to heavily rely on the SCP community to do these RPs properly. And I don't mind this, but it's only going to be a matter of time when someone will have the courage to make some good entities. I won't make these myself, but I know there's some talented creators out there that can do it in a matter of days. Okay, so I was working on a scene in this video, and I needed a entity of some kind that was made by GSirius. So I was looking around the workshop, and I see this guy. He certainly doesn't look the best, but honestly it's actually looks kinda good. Only reason I said I won't make these myself is because I don't even know where to start, and I can obviously see that on this. While I was also looking around, I found this still life by this guy that was made in this month on the 23rd. So this was around the time when I was making the video. But however, that actually looks like a decent, well, I mean, I guess I could say it's a good one. Other than that whatever, just, yeah, it's definitely something that I completely missed by a long shot. And yes, today is the 30th of June, so it's gonna be July here pretty soon. Okay, what I'm saying right now is these were posted around the same time when I was making the video. So the only reason I missed these is probably because I was making the video and I already did all my researching, and then these guys appeared while I wasn't looking. So yeah, just want to get that out of the way. Also, the guy that made that entity was a man named RCA. Yeah, I just want to get that out real quick. Something I completely missed. Anyway, let's move on. But what I can tell you that I can make a golf cart. See, golf carts are a very straightforward vehicle to make in Breakwix. Only need a chassis and a body, and some accessories if you're jobless. So what I'm saying right now is, it isn't that hard to make a golf cart, and it's a reliable form of transportation in the backrooms, or don't know anything really. And GSirius himself has made a half-decent golf cart, won't be misproportioned just a bit. My choice of transportation is a vehicle called the ICED UTV2 with floorbar from a player named Mateo that was made in 2022. As I like the seafoam cover, and I checked this workshop, and it seems that he has made some cars that I remember using way back at Legacy. And he has made quite a couple of cars, so he is really a big part of Breakwix. And I'm planning to modify this as an off-road exploration vehicle, specifically built for the backrooms. So if you see me driving around in a golf cart that looks like this, that's probably me. And remember, all of the workshop builds and videos that I'm going to mention in the video will be linked down in the description. But anyway, since we reviewed that, let's go to our last chapter in this video. So let's move on to the videos. And now this chapter is going to be a bit short because I couldn't find much in this area of the community. But I did find some videos that I'd like to show you. The first one was made by Komodo Gaming himself. In the video, OB was a part of the SCP Foundation, which just happened to be popular around the time when the backrooms existed. And Komodo is just a friend of his, where his truck blew up by a homemade device, where him and OB had to borrow a fire truck, but unfortunately were too late by near minutes. But as OB, as the SCP scientist as he is, he decides to look around to find any anomalies. And turns out they did, where they find a orb, and then they ultimately decide to drive the fire truck into the orb. I'm not even kidding. Where they find themselves in the async laboratory and find the KV-31 and get lost in the backrooms. And somehow got out by no equipping inside of a sweater. And I gotta tell you, but this video is something else, and somehow avoided all the lore in the process. But however, despite it being made in around 2020, aged very well like stale chip, it's still a great video. And it did make me chuckle a bit.
What in the heck are you doing?
Oh, hey, how you doing here, Bob? I am the brand new intern for the SCP facility, and I went ahead and classified the train as SCP-667.
This is not going to pay our bills.
Obi also did a video on this, but was recorded in the same session with Komodo. And for some reason, they only made one video on the backrooms, which I actually kind of find surprising, considering the backrooms movie and everything else that's going on right now. So Komodo, if you so happen to be watching this right now, I think it's about time we start doing backrooms content again. Just saying. Anyway, our next video is made by a user named GamerJJ2014. I actually made a backrooms video that goes like this. Yeah, it's pretty uneventful, but it does have that homemade forced video feel to it, which I gotta respect, since this is how I also started making videos. But one thing I found interesting is that in the video, there's a Bob that's fully dressed in white. And I had a hard time trying to figure out what Bob is supposed to represent, but my best theory that it could be a reference to one of OB's video, where he was dressed in white as an SCP employee, or maybe most likely a still life of him. But other than that, I have no idea. Otherwise, the video is humble, even though it looks like it was recorded on a potato. Anyway, our last video is a sort of a backrooms edit inside of Breakwix. Now, I won't be playing the audio from the short, so that way I won't get copyrighted or have the user get mad at me. But all I have to say is, the sword is actually pretty goated. And this video is pretty recent too, as it was on May to June 14th of 2026. So not too long ago. Even though everyone agreed that this was the first ever Quick edit in history, after I dug deeper into YouTube, I ended up finding one that was made in 2014 of September. So yeah, that got debunked then. You're welcome. But I guess you could say that's the best. But I agree both of these swords are pretty impressive, and look, it took a lot of time to make. But unfortunately, this is all I could find on the internet, as this is a small part of the community even though it's only going to get larger. But this is where I'm going to have to wrap up the video, but I do have some things to say to the community. First off, the community is amazing, and I see a lot of potential in the future, but there are some massive spots in the community that need to be patched up, like the monsters and the levels, here and there. And this can be fixed, and it all starts with you. If you're somebody like GSirius, or some nobody, even you make a thing that looks bad, you still impacted the community greatly. And maybe use that motivation and put it into good use, because I see a lot coming from it. But otherwise, just do what you want. And as always, have a good day. And also, don't stick that tape measure too deep into that loser that you found in the garage the other day. But however, have a good day.
Accidentally slipped off a cliff today. I do it every day. Ouchies. That one really hurt. I just can't stop slipping. I don't know why. Can someone help me? Oh.